Hi everyone, welcome to our second session of the Level Up Your Customer Journey webinar series. In this webinar series, we are discovering the main challenges we are observing in the customer lifecycle, and for each touch point with the customers, we are discussing how a simpler IT platform can help improve the customer journey from onboarding to customer management to collections. I am Buse Hancı, the analytics lead in Nordics, and today I am joined by my colleagues Jennifer Rowe, our senior pre-sales consultant, and Christopher Cadeau, our analytics consultant. In today's session, we will start with onboarding, and our theme is approve more of the right customers faster when onboarding. It is a very important topic. It starts with onboarding, and because it is a two-folded topic where customers should be very happy and confident when they are being onboarded. Customer journey is key, but also the business needs to ensure that they are onboarding the right customers, they are making the right business decision. So let's kick it off and explore how businesses can onboard their customers more effectively by also unlocking the unused data. So I would like to start with you, Jennifer. How do you see the biggest challenges around this onboarding and how businesses can more effectively use their data?
Thanks, Buse. Yeah, I think if we start by looking back at 2022 research from McKinsey, where they were looking at how do they anticipate life will be within businesses in 2025. And back then, they anticipated that by 2025, most companies would have data fully integrated and optimized in every aspect of their workplace. But fast forward to 2025, where we are now, and although there's been major leaps in the use of data and in the ability for companies to use it effectively, what we are seeing is there's still a massive challenge, and a lot of it is coming from technology aspect. So businesses are struggling to use data, and close to 48-50% of lenders are struggling to seamlessly connect it. And I think what's really interesting is that research is also showing that data scientists are spending 40 to 60% of their time on data preparation and integration tasks. Now, there's a huge opportunity cost in this. So today, I think what we want to look at is what do you need so that you can actually ensure you're able to have a proper view, 360 view of your customer, and be able to utilize that effectively in the development of your models and running through credit risk and onboarding. So as a starting point, it's key to sort of ask businesses, how long does it take you to onboard today? Mm-hmm. So the scary thing that we've seen in the research is that the vast majority of businesses are still taking well over 5 to 10 minutes to onboard a customer, but we also know that if you exceed that 10 minutes, it's like a magic point, you're likely to have an extremely high drop-off. So this is a key thing we want to focus on today.
Thank you, Jen. Very interesting insights. So over to you, Christopher. From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges nowadays at onboarding? Jennifer talked about a lot of data and why still it takes that 5 to 10 minutes to onboard one customer. What is your view in that space?
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for the question. I think in general, onboarding of customers is quite difficult because you don't know a lot about the potential customer in the onboarding process. And that's also why data is key here and why Jennifer mentions data. Because if you update your data and you have a full view of who you are trying to onboard, you are also better at taking the right decision faster. And I think we see there's a need for organizations, and I also think it's already happening, of updating their data sources to get more different data, but also to update models more frequently, because a model is essentially a way to tell the future, right? It's the best way you can tell the future about someone. But in order to do that effectively, you need to have updated models and you need to have updated data so you can make the best decision. And it's especially key here today because there's a big competitive landscape. The faster you can onboard customers, the more likely you are to also get them on your books. There's also a big increase in fraud throughout a lot of markets. And by having more information about who you're trying to onboard, you can also reduce the fraud to ensure that you're taking the precautions that you need to do. Of course, there's also the regulatory landscape. So regulations keep changing. There's coming more requirements to data sources to how are you make your onboarding decisions. And that's why I think that is really key to be able to be more agile, to change your data sources and your models to also think about the regulatory landscape and the competition. Because one thing is to have the data. Another thing is to also use it for models, for example, as I said. And we see from our research that a lot of companies have a very hard time in actually deploying the models. So one thing is you have your data scientists spending time on creating models to make good predictions because you have the data. But you also somehow need to take these models and put into production so you can actually use them to create value and make decisions. And what we see is that, 70% of companies, it takes more than 6 months. 36% it takes more than a year. And at that point, your models or data might already be outdated and you need to make new ones. So it's really, I think there's a requirement to also be able to deploy these models faster and also the data that you want to use in your onboarding.
Very interesting. So you have touched upon already very good points about the challenges. I can see that using the data is one thing, but also how to be more competitive. It's an aggressive market, so that this 5 to 10 minutes of onboarding times or deployment through months is mattering a lot to improve all these processes. So that was one side we should always consider, but I want to move forward with a bit more positive overview. So let's imagine that we have this kind of a solution. So how businesses can enable their teams, data analysts or decision makers with the right tools so that they can solve all these challenges, the competition, increasing fraud, regulation, use of data. What could be the dream scenario? What could be the dream solution in your view? I will start with Christopher.
Yes, thanks. I think we already mentioned that data is quite important to take the right decisions. The more information you have, the more informed decisions you can take. And I think we also have a lot of data everywhere right now. But the thing is that data is only valuable if you can actually use it in the end. So you want to use it to make decisions, either by putting into a decision flow or to get some insights and see how you can improve your business. But so what we imagine is a setup where data is central, but also it's easy to work with data. It's easy to deploy what you want. It's easy for every business user to get access to the information that is in this data. So the setup we're thinking about is well, I call it a unified platform. It's more maybe like a thought exercise. So imagine that you have your central place where all your data is available, the quality is good, and you can access it. Then you also have an environment where your data scientists can work with the data. They can create insights. They can make decisions based on the data. They can make models. And then you can push your insights out to dashboards for your business users, the ones who don't work with data on the daily basis, to get an overview of the information that you have and the information you want to show them. And at the same time, you also have an access where you can deploy your data. You can deploy your models into a runtime environment, we call it, where it can be picked up and you can make decisions through your decision engine. So any type of model you have, any type of data you have, you can easily and seamlessly just push it out into your onboarding flow. So once once a potential customer goes through the flow, you will already have access to the models and the data that you need in order to do it. So I would say, especially important for me is the sandbox where you can access the data that you need and potentially all the data that you have, so you can work with it and you can actually get the insights that you require. I think that's a massive thing. And then that everything is centrally placed. So you have all your data scientists and all your IT in one place to be able to push out data and decisions where it's needed in the business.
Yeah, that looks like something that can unlock the data usage and also how to know your customers less than 5 minutes, maybe. So over to you, Jennifer. What are your thoughts about this kind of a platform?
Yeah, I think it sounds almost like a utopia as things stand, but it's also a necessity today. So you'll see Bill Gates actually said automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify efficiency. And as we've discussed in the previous webinar, this is what a lot of IT infrastructure people are battling with today is what is this infrastructure going to look like that's going to help me get to this level of efficiency? And today we're focusing on the fact that wherever you go, no matter what you want to do, you really need data in the way, some way that your analytics teams can efficiently utilize this. So what Christopher is talking about there, having that playground, that ability to access it, also needs to then seamlessly integrate to these other elements of how does it go live, where's your credit and fraud, and what that also needs to translate to is that your people that work within your organization have got this line of sight. Whether it is an area of that infrastructure that sits within their ownership or not, they still need to know what's happening there. So when you start having this more unified environment, you can start giving people access to view and understand what's happening in different areas. So your chief data officer, and something we haven't really mentioned today is really key, is this whole data governance and data quality element as well, right? So also a huge focus on that today. They need to know and understand what's happening with the data in the organization. But while they're doing that, they can't be holding back the chief risk officer or the analytics environment to be using that data confidently. And IT has always got this overhead of, but everything must be up and running, business as usual must be able to run. Once you put it into the right kind of environment, you start reducing the handoffs between everybody. You start getting a more unified view of everything that's happening across the board. And hopefully you're actually simplifying a lot of these elements so that there's less breakdowns and you're getting benefit out of everything that sits in that platform.
Yeah, very interesting. So it sounds like it's not only about customer journey, but also the employee journey so that the teams can talk to each other much better. And we started to hear that challenge as well more and more in our interactions with our customers. So access to the data, talking to the other business teams is also very important.
Yeah.
So thanks for elaborating on that point. That's good. So now we have a framework that we can talk further, but what kind of use cases or business problems that platform can solve? So if we give that kind of a platform to the business and relevant stakeholders, what functionalities or which capabilities they will use it for solving the onboarding problems, in your view?
Yeah, so of course we already talked about if you have the data and you can actually use the data, your onboarding flow can be more smooth. So ensuring that if you have such a platform, that you can also plug in new data elements when they come, but also have your data available at the point of origination. That will make it a much smoother process for the potential customers that are trying to get onboarded. So that can, and also because you are able to use the data in a more, maybe in a better way, you could say, you will also have access to more data-driven insights and models, and also up-to-date models and models that you, and more different types of models in order to try to predict. So I think also a setup like this, so one thing is to use the data and another thing is to use models. Is the model that there's an entire model lifecycle that has to be taken accounted for. So having a setup where everything is in one place centrally will also help you have an overview of what types of models and data do I have in my system? And you can support it with the entire life cycle, for example, developing them, but also monitoring them, validating them, and redeveloping them once it's needed. That will give you access to have more up-to-date models that can make more automated decisions for you. And it's also much less time consuming to deploy new models once you need them. And you can also check once you need them at the same time. I think that is key. And another key point, I think Jennifer also put that, talked about that, is that you have the insights. When you have your data at one point and you're able to push it to the different business users, you can also see, or everyone in the business can see how is the business doing, where are the improvement areas, and have access to all this data in a much easier way, where you can have an overview. So I think it's also important that internal users will have relevant insights much easier. I think those are some of the use cases that could come from such a platform.
Thank you very much. So my next question will be then around our last session. We touched upon our unified platform in Experian. We gave a teaser that there's an Ascent platform, we call it. So how it can fit into that picture that we so far talked about, the onboarding processes, the challenges, the use cases, capabilities, and one platform for all. Does it resonate well with Ascent platform, Jen? Maybe over to you, because you were also in the first session, so I will give first the word to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It resonates. Our research is showing that around 75% of businesses are prioritizing this move to a unified platform, and that they need to be focused on that now and within the next couple of years. So what we have been looking at over the last several years is what would a platform look like that can solve these problems? And we've come up with a few core areas. There's this data access and integration, the analytical sandbox that we've spoken about quite a bit today, that ability to deploy the models, but also in a way that is compliant, is explainable, and of course be able to link that very quickly and easily into a decisioning environment with no need for technical resources to support in doing so. So that's the ecosystem that sits within that. And behind the scenes on this is all of those elements that Christopher spoke to earlier. A platform where you can have your insights, the data, the decisioning, the sandbox, everything in one place. And then this is part of a bigger platform, and it's a modular platform. So our clients can then choose what is it they want. The platform includes not just what we've spoken about today, but also elements that are specific to multiple products supporting fraud prevention, elements supporting life cycle decisioning, and we'll be covering some of that later in the series as well. And of course, the data governance, data quality parts today mainly being run on-premise at our clients, but we're looking to bring those elements into the platform as well. So just, yeah, a modular platform, pick what you need, integrate it as quickly as possible into how you are redefining your workflow, your originations process, and in doing so, have a quicker time to yes with your onboarding flows.
Impressive.
So yeah, we mentioned this before, right?
Yeah, exactly. I remember
it's not
that
just
slide.
technology, it's collaboration. And I think that's really key here. Everybody then being able to collaborate more easily. And I think, Christopher, you've spoken to this a few times today.
Yeah, I think it's important that has access to the information that they need. It's not only the systems that need access to the data, it's also the people to make the correct decisions in order to become, I guess, data-driven.
Exactly. It is not only IT or analytics can make this process improve, it's also the business units all together with this analytics and IT teams and all other relevant units to work on the same goal together. So many thanks for all these insights.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Today we covered from the beginning all these challenges, competition, fraud, regulations, time to yes, how to decrease it and improve it, and then draw a good solution platform framework or picture in our minds, and then touched upon how practice it can work also with experience unified platform. So many thanks for all these good points you raised at onboarding process issues or how to solve these issues. And hope that you find also this session very insightful. We are continuing with our webinar series. So we completed 2 of them already covering onboarding. And we will move forward with customer management. So our next session will be around how to turn data and analytics into quick and relevant customer management processes, practices. So please follow us. And there's a QR code in the screen now. Please just follow the QR code and don't forget to subscribe to our next sessions. I would like to first mention our another report that you can also reach out through this QR code, very relevant to today's topic. It's about how to simplify credit risk management with a unified cloud platform. This is a report of us, so please feel free to reach out as well after you have a read on it. By being said that, I want to thank a lot to my colleagues that accompanied me today in this session. Many thanks, Jennifer. Many thanks, Christopher, again. So please feel free to reach out to us, to this team, and please stay tuned. Thank you.